Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and knock this out. Alright, first question. Hey Jason, Hardgainer checking in. I'm basically an intermediate now at 176 centimeters, 85 kilograms, 17.5% body fat. Hopefully you got a DEXA scan to tell you that. Should I continue as planned to slow bulk up to 90 kg or 95 kilograms to gain some more strength? This will push my BMI to 29 to 30, but my numbers are starting to stall. And he gives us 5x5 lifts, which I think are pretty decent. Now, some people were arguing, well, I don't think you're a hard gainer. Well, he's saying it's taken him 4 years to get here. All right, looking at what he's talking about here also, he's saying that he's having wrist issues, so his squat is really low at 95 kilograms for 5x5. All right, brother, here's what I'm going to tell you right now. You're not getting enough leg work in, and I think if you're 17.5% body fat, and you know your numbers are okay, they definitely do need to go up. They're not terrible though, other than your squat. Here's what I'm going to say to you: you need to get your squat sorted. Don't bulk any further till you have your squat sorted, because you're going to get reduced lower body gains. Your body fat's already at 17.5%. Because again, you don't have your squat situated where you can get enough lower body work. Most of your gains at this point are going to be upper body. So if you start bulking again now, trying to push kind of your body weight up further to get your strength up, I think you're going to be in a situation where you're just going to gain more body fat. Why don't you get your squat sorted, get your technique dialed in? When you're able to start progressing again on your squat, you can start bulking very, very, very slowly if you need to. But at this point in the game, I think you bulking up another, 20 pounds up to, you're talking about going up to 95 kilograms. When you're not really able to squat effectively, I think that's just going to be a recipe to just get fatter. Get your squat sorted and then slow bulk. You probably don't need to go up to 95 kilograms. That's probably too much. All right, next question. Hi, cooch, as opposed to coach. I try to keep my scapula fully retracted when I do bent over rows. As soon as I lose my scapula retraction, I end the set. However, I can pull a lot more if I let my scapula come forward. Should I use a different lift to keep my scapular retraction well trained, so I can use a row as a mass builder, perhaps a cable row or a very strict face pull? PS, my other pulls are deadlifts and weighted chins. I don't even know how to answer this. What the actual F? Do the normal rows, and when you do your face pulls, do those normal also. You retract the scapula as part of the rep. We don't do rows, pull-ups, chin-ups, face pulls, any of that for the purpose of keeping the scapula retracted. If you want an exercise to practice retracting your scapula, try the bench press. I know maybe you think this is something someone told you need to do, but no, there's no benefit to you on a dynamic exercise like a face pull or a row and trying to practice isometrics with your scapula. That is not how you gain muscle. That's not how you gain strength. If you want to just practice retracting your scapula, bench press is great for that, because you should have them retracted from the time you unrack to you rack it. There's your practice on scapular retraction. Don't do it on dynamic exercises. You're losing range of motion. You're losing muscle fiber recruitment. You're losing benefits. Do the full range of motion. That's really all I have to say about that. All right, next question. Can someone use a rep scheme, 5x5, 3x8, 5x3, etc., for sufficient volume, motor unit learning, and progressive overload on barbell movements while managing fatigue, rather than programming percentages for simplicity? You don't think programming percentages is simple? I think it is. I mean, all right, guys, I'm all for not doing complicated things for no benefit, but this is going the other extreme. There's nothing complicated about programming percentages on basic lifts. Now, if you don't want to do that, could you use these rep schemes and just micro load? Sure, you could. Could you rotate through them and micro load? Sure, you could. There's nothing wrong with that if that's how you choose to do it, as long as you have a plan in place for progression. Look, if you have a plan in place for progression and that progression is something that you know is going to work with your stress recovery adaptation cycle, you can certainly do that. There's nothing wrong with it. You can get fantastic results doing that. But I don't really think that's any difference in terms of simplicity than doing percentages. It's not really that different. But yeah, you could do that. You could run all these rep ranges, and like I said, even rotate through them in different blocks if you wanted to, and just micro load and use micro plates to move your weights up over time with an actual plan in place. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. But percentage-based systems are still well within the realm of simplicity. You know, when we start talking about unneeded complexity, we're talking about running really weird daily undulating periodization and really, really complex programming, which isn't necessary. But I think you're trying to take it almost to another extreme when you start thinking that just percentage systems are complex. But, you know, you can do it either way. It'll be just fine. All right, next question. What do you think of gaining benching strength on the Smith machine, and then once you hit a 315 Smith machine bench, you start regular pressing at a slightly lighter weight? All right, I'm going to try to be polite about this. I think this is absurd. And this is my problem with Smith machines. You know, I have people all the time who, when I say things like, guys, we need to remove Smith machines from gyms, they should probably be illegal, because of the injuries and all the BS they cause. They waste space, they're expensive. They should be removed from gyms because their existence creates problems. And people will argue with me and they'll say, look, well, no, because they can be useful for calf raises or shrugs or whatever silly crap people come up with, right, that they're not going to hurt you doing. And here's my counter argument. This person just proved my point. The existence of the Smith machine and the availability of it will tempt people to try to find uses for it. The mere presence of it in the gym is a hazard. And this poster just proved it, because he's actually trying to find a use for the Smith machine, which is really a useless and dangerous piece of equipment. So thank you for proving my point, Alex, that Smith machines need to be melted down for scrap metal, and they should probably be outlawed, because its existence actually tempted you to come up with this idea. And you would have never thought of this absurd, insane, crazy idea if there wasn't a Smith machine at your gym. So it would be in your personal best interest for that thing to be removed. But to answer your question, no, this is a good way to hurt yourself. This is a good way to not gain any bench strength. If you want to get stronger at the bench press, do the bench press till you get your bench up to 315. That's what I would recommend personally. I think that would be your best option here. And since you have a gym with a Smith machine in it, and you can't get them to remove it, just pretend that you can't see it and pretend it doesn't exist. Your life, your training, and everything is going to be so much better if you just pretend that object doesn't exist and just like kind of ignore it and act like it's not there when you walk by it, and don't ever give it another thought. That's what I would recommend to you, brother. All right, next question. Hey Jason, why do the equipped powerlifters that switch over to Raw still thinks about pulling the weight down with your back, still use bands and chains, and do a lot of lockout work? Thanks. Well, the reason they do it is because that's what they had always done. That's what they were trained to do. That's what equipped lifting taught them. So therefore, they're sticking to what they are used to and what worked for them there. Now, can they still build a base? Sure, because I mean, if you get to where you can do a 600-pound bench press with a shirt on, and you go over to Raw, you're still going to have strong pecs and delts and triceps. And if they've keep doing their tricep work, it's still going to carry over to your bench. What people need to remember is that this whole weak link theory is nonsense. Meaning, if any muscle gets stronger on a compound movement, even if it's actually your strong point, the lift is still going to go up. In other words, even if your pecs are a slight limiting factor in your weak link in your bench, if you keep building your triceps, they're still going to add a few pounds to your bench, right? Because it is about the combined effort of the muscles. So, of course, they're going to keep getting results. And I mean, this is a thing that I've saw Dan Green write a lot about. Is it's not that this stuff doesn't work. It's just not the most effective way to get there. But people still do it because all the habits of equipped lifting have carried over into the Raw world. There's still a lot of traditions, because powerlifting was completely equipped at one time for a while. Raw didn't exist, and so all the training philosophies revolved around equipped, and it just continued to carry over as tradition, and people still get stronger doing it. It's just not ideal and not the most effective way to go about doing it. It's got a lot of useless stuff in there, and that's all it comes down to. It just makes getting the same results possibly slower and more complicated than they need to be. But they're just carrying on with what they know. That's what people do. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.